Hey everyone. Today, I want to share a truly remarkable story that's bound to shift your perspective. Let's dive into the experience of a woman named Raven Carlyle, who spent years as a skeptic. After an extraordinary event, she passed away, but returned with astonishing insights about heaven and Jesus. Her revelations about what lies beyond will transform everything you thought you knew about the afterlife. But before we jump in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you stay updated on amazing stories like this. Now let's embark on this exciting journey together. I'm Raven Carlyle, and not too long ago I would have been labeled a staunch skeptic. Growing up in Portland, Oregon, a city famed for its relentless rain and gloomy skies, my surroundings seemed to mirror my own outlook, dark, pragmatic, and a bit cynical. From childhood, I was trained to trust only tangible evidence. Miracles were merely coincidences, and the idea of life after death felt like a comforting fairy tale for those afraid of the end. I firmly believed that death was the final curtain, a complete blackout. Life threw some tough challenges my way. When I was just 18, I lost my parents in a tragic car accident. That experience shook me, forcing me to reevaluate everything, but it ultimately solidified my belief that life is harsh and random. I saw no grand design or higher purpose. We were merely players in an indifferent universe. In the following years, I threw myself into work, hoping to bury my pain and create some sense of meaning. My only emotional anchor was my older sister, Megan. Unlike me, she embraced spirituality, which I tolerated but often found amusing. Recently, I faced another heart-wrenching moment in my life, a breakup that left me feeling as if the ground had vanished. All the ideals I held about love and building a future crumbled around me, and once again, I was left feeling lost and searching for a reason to keep going. That was the mindset I found myself in one fateful June night in 2013. I was in my early 30s, disillusioned with life, and convinced I'd experienced all that the world had to offer. Little did I know, I was on the cusp of an experience that would challenge every belief I had and reshape my very identity. Imagine waking up on a gloomy June day in Alabama, thinking you're just going about your normal routine. Little did I know, my entire perspective was about to be flipped upside down. If someone had said that mere hours later, I would be teetering on the brink of death and having my worldview shattered, I would have laughed it off. It's funny how life has a way of throwing curveballs, revealing that there's so much more to life than our own narrow beliefs can comprehend. So there I was, laden with skepticism, ready to embark on an adventure I never saw coming, a journey that would stretch the very fabric of existence and bring me back, undoubtedly changed. The evening weather in Charleston was just like so many others I'd experienced. Rain pouring down, air chilly and biting. I had promised to visit Monsignor Luciano DeMarco, who lived on the city's outskirts. Normally, I would have used the weather as an excuse to cancel, but something deep inside urged me to go. It was almost as if an unseen force was nudging me out the door. I hopped into my tired old compact sedan and set off. The rain was relentless, pouring in sheets that blurred the world outside. As I squinted through the downpour, the windshield wipers struggled to keep up, barely clearing my view. Streetlights flickered hazily, their light mingling with the headlights of passing cars, all contributing to an already disorienting atmosphere. Driving felt heavy, and I couldn't shake the gnawing feeling of dread. It wasn't mere anxiety about the slippery roads. It felt primal, like some instinct deep within me knew I was on the cusp of something significant. The winding roads of the area, usually familiar, felt perilous that night. I eased off the gas, white-knuckling the steering wheel as anxiety tightened in my chest. Then, as I crested a particularly steep hill, everything shifted in an instant. Out of the shadows materialized the headlights of an oncoming vehicle, seemingly out of nowhere. For one fleeting moment, I thought we'd both pass unscathed. Then, in what felt like slow motion, I watched as the other car lost control, skidding hopelessly across the slick surface. Time hung suspended. I could see it all so clearly. The droplets hanging in the air, the sheer panic on the driver's face, the gleam of metal colliding with the darkness. I jerked the wheel instinctively to dodge the impact, but that only sent my own car spiraling. Control slipped from my grasp, and in that crucial moment, I braced for what would come next. The chaos began with a jarring motion. Metal twisted and glass shattered all around me. I felt each collision resonate through my body until everything ceased. There she was, upside down, held in place by her seatbelt. The sharp scent of gasoline mixed with the metallic tang of blood altered my senses, while the cold rain seeped in through the broken windshield, chilling my skin. Time seemed to freeze and panic washed over me. I truly believed this was the end. Yet oddly, a sense of calm fell over me. My thoughts drifted to Megan and my parents, and I felt a wave of sadness for all I would leave behind. Strangely, fear was absent. Only resignation remained. With trembling hands, I unbuckled the seatbelt, tumbling heavily onto the now inverted floor of the car. Pain surged with every slight movement as I painstakingly crawled through the jagged remnants of the windshield. Outside, the rain continued to pour relentlessly. I found myself in a drainage ditch, with the road looming above me. Determined, I scrambled up the slick, muddy slope, slipping often, falling back into the cold, unyielding muck. I had no idea how long it took to reach the road. It felt like forever. When I finally hit the pavement, I crumpled to the ground, barely conscious. The final thing that registered was the flicker of headlights and the sound of panicked voices before everything faded to black. I came to in a bright, sterile space filled with incessant beeping and flickering fluorescent lights. I was in a hospital, alive but just barely. The doctors' voices buzzed around me, quick and urgent. Snippets of their conversation registered. Multiple fractures, internal bleeding. We must operate immediately. My consciousness wavered as pain washed over me when I was awake. Soon, I was whisked away to the operating room. As the anesthesiologist counted down, darkness descended once more. But this felt different. In that deep void, I experienced a detachment, as though I had floated outside of my body. I observed the frantic activity around the operating table, where a team of doctors and nurses were busy working to save me. It was surreal, like watching a film of my own life unfold. The surgeons moved with precision, their hands weaving stitches as they fought for my survival. Imagine being in a room filled with frantic beeping machines. I could sense the panic, even though, strangely, it felt like I was just watching. I remember hearing someone yelling, "We're losing her," and catching a glimpse of my own heart's rhythm flatlining on the monitor. That moment hit hard. It felt like an immense pain that wasn't just in my body, but something deeper. A part of me was tearing away, like every cell was crying out in despair as I drifted away from everything I knew. And then, just like that, the anguish vanished. A lightness washed over me as if my burdens had been lifted, revealing a tranquility I had never felt before. Looking down one last time, I saw the doctors still battling to revive me. But I was already in motion, heading toward an unknown destination that felt profoundly significant. Then, out of nowhere, an unseen force yanked me back, pulling me along at a breakneck pace toward what I can only describe as a luminous tunnel. The hues surrounding me were beyond what I had ever witnessed, a blend of colors unimaginable on Earth, as if the full realm of light was unfurling right before my eyes. It was a breathtaking rush. Even though I was speeding through this surreal space, I felt entirely at ease, void of fear, just brimming with curiosity, as if I was on the verge of discovering some cosmic truth. As I ventured deeper into the tunnel, a faint sound began to emerge. At first, it was a barely audible murmur, but then it transformed into something clearer. Countless voices filled the space, not in a chaotic clamor, but in a stunning arrangement, like a cosmic symphony welcoming me, urging me to dive further and unveil the mysteries ahead. I longed to engage with them, to be a part of that harmony, but something held me back, a final tether to the life I had just untethered from. Abruptly, just as the ride began, it came to a halt. The vibrant tunnel dissolved around me, and I found myself in a setting so entirely alien it redefined my understanding of reality. I stood in what seemed to be a room, though it lacked any visible walls or ceiling. Everything radiated an intense, dazzling white, so pure it was almost overwhelming to gaze upon. Imagine a world where light isn't just something you see. It's almost tangible, wrapping itself around me like a warm blanket. A thick fog drifted lazily in the air, almost as if it were alive. Strangely enough, I could see everything around me without any difficulty. There wasn't a hint of shadow or darkness, only pure, radiant light filled the space. What baffled me the most was my inability to see my own body. I had no hands to raise or feet to take a step. Yet, I was completely aware, experiencing sensations that went beyond mere sight and touch. It felt like my consciousness had burst free from the constraints of a physical form. In this peculiar realm, the notion of time became irrelevant. I couldn't tell if minutes or eons had passed. Every moment stretched endlessly, while paradoxically, events seemed to unfold in an instant. Suddenly, I became aware that I was not alone. 3 figures stepped out of the fog, as though they had been there all along. They presented as men, cloaked in dark garb that flowed around them. What immediately drew my eye was the elaborate golden stitching on their attire, shimmering with an energy that was almost mesmerizing. They moved gracefully, creating complex patterns that felt just out of reach of my understanding. Their expressions were calm, yet an undeniable sense of power radiated from them, making me feel uneasy. To my odd relief, they didn't utter a single word that I could hear, but I sensed a conversation occurring, one that revolved around me. The one positioned in the center struck me as their leader. His gaze locked onto mine, and it felt as though he could peer right into my soul. His eyes offered no harsh judgment, only a profound and complete comprehension of my essence, encompassing both my flaws and my strengths. At last, he turned to address the other 2, and while I couldn't catch the words, the essence of his message was clear. She's not ready. A chill shot through me at that moment. Not ready? For what? Was it for death? For paradise? For some daunting trial? A flood of questions surged through my mind, but before I could grasp any of them, a shift occurred. The bright surroundings began to break apart, the trio dissolving back into the mist. This time, an unfamiliar sensation overtook me. Rather than moving forward, I felt as if I was being yanked backward. As I was pulled away from that enigmatic place, the last remnants of my surreal experience began to fade. Imagine realizing that you've been handed a second lease on life. It's puzzling, yet you sense that your time on this earth isn't finished. Just before I fully departed that ethereal waiting area, I caught a fleeting glimpse of something extraordinary. A mist momentarily shifted, unveiling a breathtaking scene that words can hardly capture. Fields shimmering in gold, an impossibly vivid blue sky, and a light illuminating everything from all angles at once. Just as I was soaking it all in, I was abruptly drawn back into the shadows. When those shadows finally receded, I found myself atop a gentle hill, immersed in a sea of golden wheat and corn stretching endlessly. The sky above was a stunning deep blue, almost surreal, with fluffy white clouds scattered across like they were brushed on by an artist's hand. The air felt alive in a way I had never known. Each breath surged through me, filled with a vitality that was exhilarating, brimming with energy and endless possibilities. Down in the valley, I spotted a stream, gracefully winding its way through the fields. The water sparkled in the sunlight, a clear blue that glistened like a multitude of diamonds. I could hear the gentle sound of the babbling water, harmonizing beautifully with the soft whispers of the wind rustling through the crops. But what truly captivated me were the people bustling about. Men, women, and children tended to the land, planting, harvesting, and nurturing it with such diligence. Yet their toil radiated joy rather than fatigue. Their faces displayed an authentic happiness that turned each chore into a joyful celebration. Kids dashed between the rows of corn, their laughter dancing through the air like a symphony of pure delight. One child's eyes sparkled with a divine innocence that felt like it belonged to another realm. No anxiety, no sorrow, just an infectious joy that enveloped me. A woman strode by, a basket of fresh fruit balanced elegantly on her head. Her radiant smile showcased a profound peace that left me almost speechless. When she caught my eye, she waved with such warmth as though we shared a long-lost friendship. At that moment, I was washed over with a wave of love and acceptance that nearly brought me to tears. The colors surrounding me were beyond anything I had encountered before. They were more brilliant, more alive. The golden fields pulsed with a glow of their own, while the trees boasted a depth of green that was almost overwhelming. It felt like my perception had been transformed entirely, revealing a vibrant world that beckoned with every glance. I was experiencing something remarkable for the first time, truly seeing the world in all its magnificence. The way time flowed here felt peculiar, the sun hung suspended in an eternal midday glow. Strangely enough, this timelessness didn't feel odd at all. It was as if moments stretched infinitely, celebrating life and creation endlessly. As I took in the scene, a profound sense of peace washed over me, nearly overwhelming. All my worries, fears, and burdens felt trivial and far away. For perhaps the first time, I truly sensed that I belonged. In that tranquil moment, I became aware of a powerful, loving presence beside me, so overwhelming that it almost took my breath away. When I turned to see who it was, my life took a turn I could never have anticipated. There stood Jesus, and the second our eyes met, I felt an undeniable certainty deep within. No doubts lingered. It was undeniably he. His appearance was different from the artistic interpretations I had encountered before, just a simple white robe and sandals. But his presence was what set him apart. Those deep brown eyes held a universe of love and wisdom. He exuded peace and compassion that left me in awe. Though he remained silent, his presence spoke volumes. It wrapped around me in a pure, unconditional love that brought tears to my eyes. It felt like, for the first time, I was truly seen and understood. Jesus smiled at me, a smile filled with boundless joy and forgiveness. Then, with a soft gesture, he directed my gaze to the breathtaking landscape before us. In that instant, the meaning clicked. What I beheld was merely a taste of paradise's vastness and beauty. As we stood there together, I felt an immense bond with everything in my surroundings. I could sense the life in every blade of grass, every drop in the stream, and every grain in the expansive fields. Everything around me thrummed with divine energy, and I realized I was entirely part of it all. Then, without uttering a word, Jesus shared a profound truth in my mind. He revealed that paradise was more than just a location. It was a state of being. Imagine a reality where every being is in perfect harmony, discovering their true essence and purpose. I learned from Jesus that in this paradise, work isn't a burden but rather a celebration of love and creativity. Every action, no matter how insignificant, becomes a way to honor life and what it has to offer. There's never a dull moment. Fatigue doesn't exist, only a profound joy in simply being and doing. Time, as we know it, evaporates. There's no need to dwell on the past or worry about the future. Instead, everything exists in a boundless present filled with endless opportunities and discoveries. As I soaked it all in, a wave of sorrow washed over me for the moments of doubt I'd had, those times I questioned the existence of something greater. Feeling my turmoil, Jesus came to me, resting his hand on my shoulder. His touch sparked an electric wave of pure love, dissolving all my guilt and fears. In that moment, clarity dawned on me. No matter how often I had faltered or drawn away, God's love, manifested in Jesus, embraced all my imperfections and anxieties. I was enveloped in love, eternal and unconditional. I longed to linger in that warmth and light forever. But just as certainly as I felt Jesus' presence, I was aware that my time there was fleeting. I had been granted a precious insight, a beautiful gift, yet it wasn't meant for me to linger indefinitely. Before I could voice my sadness at leaving, Jesus offered me a tender smile. It was a smile that promised this wasn't a farewell, but rather a see you later. Paradise would be there waiting for me when it was truly my time to return. With that assurance in my heart, I readied myself to leave. However, Jesus still had wisdom to impart. There was so much more to grasp about the nature of paradise and the essence of existence beyond our worldly life. As I braced myself to depart, Jesus continued to unveil the profound mysteries of paradise. Each new understanding felt like a wave, expanding my awareness in ways I had never envisioned. He explained that paradise doesn't stay still. It is a realm brimming with infinite creativity and growth. The souls there aren't simply enjoying eternal bliss. They are constantly discovering, learning, and evolving. Each moment, though different from what we call a day, brings fresh insights and new expressions of love and beauty. The colors that filled my vision were only a glimpse of the vast spectrum awaiting in paradise. Imagine a world filled with colors beyond human sight, where light and energy vibrate in ways our earthly minds can't grasp. Each hue embodies emotions, memories, and meanings, weaving a rich tapestry of experiences. Communication in this heavenly realm is unlike anything we experience on Earth. There's no need for words. Thoughts, feelings, and ideas dance between souls, creating a beautiful harmony of understanding and empathy. In this place, misunderstandings and secrets vanish. Every soul is fully known and loved without conditions. Jesus shared some incredible insights with me. In paradise, physical limitations are a thing of the past. Souls can take on any shape they wish, or even exist without form altogether. The true essence of each being radiates through their chosen manifestation, turning every interaction into a joyful recognition and celebration of each other's uniqueness. The idea of family in this divine realm extends far beyond earthly connections. Every soul is part of a vast cosmic family bound by love. Yet the relationships we've formed on earth still hold significance, enriched beyond measure by the understanding and love of paradise. One of the most stunning revelations revolved around knowledge. Jesus explained that in paradise it's not a matter of acquiring information or memorizing facts. Instead, knowledge is a vibrant, immediate experience. Any part of creation or moment in time can be grasped and lived fully in an instant. He opened my eyes to see that paradise is not some distant, isolated place, but intimately intertwined with every facet of existence, including our world. The prayers, kind thoughts, and loving actions from earth create ripples of positive energy felt and celebrated in paradise. Meanwhile, the love and light from this heavenly realm continuously flow into our lives, inspiring and nourishing all creation. Perhaps the most profound lesson was about why we are here on earth. Jesus showed me that our life is not a test to qualify for paradise, but rather a chance to grow, to make choices, and to experience the gift of free will. Every challenge, every moment of joy, and each relationship is an opportunity to learn, love, and evolve. Imagine being shown that paradise isn't just a final destination, it's part of an endless journey of growth and discovery. I learned there are realms far beyond paradise, dimensions of existence that stretch out infinitely. As I delved into this insight, I sensed my consciousness expanding in ways I never thought possible. It was like every part of me was awakening to a profound truth, a richer reality. I realized I wouldn't be able to keep all this knowledge once I returned, yet I understood that my life was transformed forever. The moment to depart hit me unexpectedly, just as quickly as I had arrived. Gabriel Thornton offered me a final, warm smile, filled with love and reassurance. Then, in an instant, the beautiful scene surrounding me started to fade away. I felt a whirlwind of sensations, as though I was both plunging down and soaring upwards at once. The vibrant colors of paradise swirled together, drawing me back into my physical form. The shift was jarring and shocking. One moment, I was enveloped in the serenity of paradise. The next, I was thrust back into reality with an overwhelming force. Pain hit me instantly, and it was unbearable, with every nerve igniting like fire. When I managed to open my eyes, I found myself in a stark operating room. The fluorescent lights felt brutally harsh compared to the gentle glow of paradise, and the cacophony of machines, heart monitors beeping, and urgent voices buzzed around me, seeming almost ludicrously loud. I heard someone exclaim, "She's back!" and chaos erupted. Medical professionals rushed about, adjusting various machines and checking my vital signs. I yearned to reassure them that I was fine, that I had just experienced something extraordinary. But words eluded me. My throat was parched and sore from the breathing tube, and the pain was relentless. Each breath was a formidable task, and even the slightest movement sent jolts of torture throughout my body. Yet, strangely enough, along with the excruciating pain came a deep sense of gratitude. I was alive. A new chance had been bestowed upon me. The following hours blurred into a whirlwind of tests, medications, and rapid-fire questions. Eventually, I was moved to the ICU, where machines monitored my every breath, each beep a reminder that I was still here. Every heartbeat and breath felt incredibly alive. Doctors came and went, expressing their astonishment at what they called my miraculous recovery. It didn't hit me until the initial surge of excitement faded that I had my first moment to truly reflect on everything. Lying there in that hospital bed, with the constant beeping of machines surrounding me, I struggled to make sense of what had happened. The experience felt surreal, as if it was both vividly real and far away at the same time. I could still picture the tunnel of light, the heavenly waiting room, and those golden fields of paradise. I could recall the face of Jesus and the overwhelming love enveloping me in his presence. Yet, The deeper wisdom and cosmic truths I had encountered seemed to slip away from my grasp, like grains of sand. I was aware that I had unearthed profound insights about reality and the purpose of life, but articulating them eluded me. What lingered was a solid assurance deep within. I felt with all my being that I had touched something genuine and significant. This wasn't a mere dream or a drug-induced hallucination. It was a truth more authentic than anything I'd ever experienced in my earthly life. This sense of certainty brought a tranquility I had never known. Despite the physical discomfort, confusion, and exhaustion, a strange calm washed over me. Death, which once filled me with dread, had transformed into something less terrifying. It was no longer perceived as an ending, but as a transition, a gateway to something grander and more beautiful than I could ever dream of. In the days that followed, as my body gradually healed, that peace remained my steadfast companion. It anchored me through long, painful nights and offered comfort during grueling treatments. Every time I closed my eyes, I could almost feel the warmth of paradise's sun and hear the joyful laughter of children playing in the golden fields. When I finally emerged from the ICU, it was my sister Joy, who was the first to step into my room. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying, and upon seeing her, a wave of love surged through me, almost taking my breath away. That love I had felt in paradise was not something unreachable. It was right here, now, woven into the bonds we share with those we cherish. As Megan held my hand, tears spilling down her cheeks, she whispered, "I thought I lost you." I gripped her hand tightly in response. "I'm back," I replied simply. There was so much more to say, but in that moment, words didn't seem necessary. There was so much I wanted to express, a whole wealth of experiences begging to be shared. But honestly, I just felt overwhelmed. At that moment, simply being present with my sister, holding her hand, was enough to fill my heart with gratitude. As the days passed and I started to heal, I began to notice subtle shifts within myself. Everything felt sharper, colors popped vividly, and music enveloped me like never before. I found joy in the simplest things, the morning chorus of birds, the comforting taste of tea, and the gentle sunshine warming my face. It was a whole new level of appreciation, one I hadn't known before. Perhaps the most striking change was in how I viewed life itself. The things that used to worry me, money, career ambitions, societal status, lost their grip on my thoughts. They felt so minor compared to the deeper connections and relationships I craved. I started to prioritize bringing more love and positivity into my interactions and surroundings. Each person I encountered started to appear different to me. Where I might have criticized or judged before, I now recognized each individual as a soul navigating their own path, carrying unique burdens, deserving understanding and compassion. I remembered those profound teachings about our shared journey and tried to embody that wisdom in my actions. As my physical strength regained its footing, an urge grew inside of me, a deep need to share what I had experienced. It wasn't about convincing anyone or changing minds. It was about offering a beacon of hope to those who, like I once did, were scared of what lay beyond life. Yet, translating my experience into words proved to be a challenge. How does one describe something that seems beyond the realm of language? How to articulate vibrant colors that words can't capture, or explain ideas that stretch beyond our three-dimensional view of reality? Nonetheless, I felt a pull, a sense of responsibility. I'd witnessed something incredible, and holding that inside felt wrong. So I started to open up. It began with conversations with close friends, and soon I found myself sharing with larger audiences. Reactions varied widely. Some listened skeptically, others with incredible intrigue. Some found healing in my words, while others scrutinized every detail I offered. Through this process, I learned to welcome every type of response with open arms, realizing everyone is traveling their own path of understanding. As I opened up, I discovered that I wasn't alone. I met others who had undergone similar near-death experiences, each tale unique, yet echoing themes that resonated deeply with my own journey. These connections aided my healing and helped me further comprehend what I had gone through. As I moved through my healing journey, something became undeniably clear. My brush with death marked not an ending, but a fresh start. It ushered in a completely new way of living, loving, and truly being. Sure, the usual struggles of life persisted, but they no longer felt so daunting. I embraced them with a renewed outlook, one filled with strength and the firm belief that something greater awaited us beyond this existence. With time as my ally, I took moments to ponder my near-death encounter. It was fascinating how each recollection unfolded new meanings, especially when I considered them alongside the realities of daily life. One standout shift was how I began to view time differently. Previously, I was always focused on the future, caught up in planning for the next goal or achievement. On the flip side, I often found myself mired in the past, reflecting on errors and lamenting chances that had slipped through my fingers. Now, however, I was learning to truly embrace the present. I still vividly recalled that sense of eternal time I felt in paradise, where each moment seemed to stretch on forever. It dawned on me that I could infuse a piece of that timelessness into my everyday life. Whether I was washing dishes, chatting with a friend, or just savoring a deep breath, I discovered a depth in each experience that had previously eluded me. Moreover, my approach to fear underwent a significant transformation. Once, fear loomed large in my life, fear of failing, of being rejected, even of death itself. Nowadays, while I wouldn't claim to be wholly fearless, that grip it had on me was considerably loosened. Having felt the profound peace and unconditional love in paradise shifted my perspective entirely. Many of the fears that plagued me were rooted in a narrow understanding of reality. The fear of death, particularly, has diminished considerably. It's not that I wish for my life to end. In fact, my experience deepened my appreciation for every moment I have. The paralyzing dread of death has morphed into a serene acceptance of its certainty, along with an intriguing curiosity about what lies beyond. Additionally, my views on spirituality and religion have evolved profoundly. Once a skeptic, dismissive of anything beyond the physical realm, I now find myself reevaluating my beliefs and embracing the possibilities that exist beyond our immediate experience. Imagine discovering a whole new realm of possibilities that you might have brushed aside not too long ago. It wasn't a rush toward traditional religion that opened my eyes. Rather, it felt as if I had tapped into something far beyond any established faith. My journey became about nurturing a deeply personal sense of spirituality, informed by my own encounters with the divine. This newfound path urged me to delve into a variety of spiritual and philosophical frameworks. I wasn't on a mission to adopt a new belief. Instead, I was eager to understand how countless cultures and individuals over time have grappled with experiences akin to my own. I found wisdom in mystical literature, Eastern philosophies, quantum physics, and narratives shared by those who have brushed against death. One of the most striking realizations I encountered revolved around the essence of reality and consciousness. My experience shook the foundations of my old beliefs regarding what is real and what lies within the realm of possibility. If I could separate my consciousness from my physical form and traverse realities beyond our tangible world, it opened a floodgate of questions. What implications did this have for our notions of mind and brain, or even existence itself? Intrigued, I began to study neuroscience, quantum physics, and the philosophy surrounding consciousness. With each piece of knowledge I gathered, I was struck by how much there still was to unravel about consciousness and the very fabric of reality. Rather than diminishing what I had felt, this journey only intensified my awe and respect for the enigma of existence. Perhaps the most significant insight I gained was about the purpose of life itself. In my past, I was often caught up in my own ambitions and desires, living largely for myself. But after my experience, a new sense of calling emerged within me, a call to something far more profound. I remembered the unity I felt with every soul I encountered in paradise, and recognized that we each hold a part in the vast design of existence. This prompted a major reevaluation of my priorities and how I wanted to lead my life. I began to seek ways to support others and contribute positively to the world around me. This didn't always translate into grand acts of heroism. Often it simply meant offering small gestures of kindness, being present for those in need, and infusing more love and compassion into my day-to-day interactions. Reflecting on this transformative experience, it became clear that it wasn't solely my own to hold tightly. It was a gift meant to be shared. I never intended to put myself on a pedestal. I simply wanted to share a message of hope and a unique viewpoint with others. Each time I recounted my story and noticed a spark of recognition or comfort in someone's gaze, I felt I was honoring the purpose for which I had returned. That said, I came to understand that reactions to my experience varied widely. Some embraced it wholeheartedly, others dismissed it outright, while many found themselves somewhere in the middle. I've come to value each individual's right to process my journey according to their personal path and beliefs. As the years rolled by, what I once viewed as merely an extraordinary memory transformed into a lens that altered how I perceived everything around me. This experience began to tint every facet of my life, shaping my choices, relationships, and my self-awareness within the universe. At times, I longed for that serene state of love and peace I once knew, but I learned to find bits of it in the everyday moments here on Earth. Whether it was the laughter of a child, the hug of someone I loved, or the stunning display of a sunset, each of these instances offered me a taste of paradise, reminding me of the divine love that envelops us, even when we aren't aware of it. I began sharing my story through talks and writings, reaching out to those grappling with their own existential questions. I never saw myself as a guru or a sage. I was just someone who had glimpsed something beyond the ordinary and was trying to make sense of it, just like everyone else. One of the key insights I gained was about the necessity of balance. While my near-death experience provided me with incredible insight into reality and life's purpose, I realized I still needed to navigate the everyday world, complete with its practical demands and responsibilities. I discovered how to harmonize my spiritual insights with the necessities of daily life. For instance, even though I understood that material concerns were less significant in the grand scheme, I still needed to support myself and meet my basic needs. What changed was my perspective. I started to view these responsibilities as integral to my spiritual journey instead of viewing them as barriers. As for my relationships, they have transformed as well. Some friendships grew stronger as I opened up about my experiences and my newfound outlook on life. Some people distanced themselves from me, unable to connect with the changes I had undergone. It took time, but I learned to embrace these transformations gracefully, recognizing that everyone is navigating their own unique journey. One of the tougher parts of my new reality was grappling with an occasional nostalgia for the paradise I once inhabited. There were moments when the tranquility and beauty of that place felt elusive, and I found myself yearning to return. During those times, I found solace in remembering the unspoken assurances I believed Jesus made, the promise that one day I would find that haven waiting for me. Until that moment comes, my mission became to fully immerse myself in the life I have right now. As time went on, I discovered a way to tap into some of that serenity and love I had encountered in paradise. By incorporating meditation and prayer into my daily routine, I carved out moments of stillness and contemplation, which allowed me to stay connected to that higher truth amid the bustle of daily life. My journey also reignited a curiosity for science. Instead of clashing with my spiritual experiences, I noticed how discoveries in quantum physics and neuroscience sometimes provided insights into my past encounters. This sparked an engaging conversation between the realms of science and spirituality, revealing them as complementary pathways toward grasping a shared underlying reality. Years later, what once was a remarkable incident in my past has woven itself into the fabric of my identity. My near-death experience has shaped every facet of my life, affecting my decisions, my relationships, and how I understand myself and the world around me. Reflecting on the woman I was before that pivotal night, I find it incredible how much I have shifted. The skeptical, anxious version of me feels like a distant memory. Yet I hold a deep appreciation for that earlier self, for it was her journey that ultimately guided me here. I've come to see my near-death experience not as an ending, but as a new beginning, a fresh chapter of living, loving, and simply being. And even though I know there's a wealth of knowledge still awaiting me, I face each day with an open heart, a sense of wonder and gratitude, aware that I am part of something infinitely greater than I had ever envisioned. As I wrap up this reflection, I understand that mere words can hardly encapsulate the profound depth and significance of what I went through. I believe sharing my journey can shed light on something much bigger, a flicker of hope for those grappling with life, death, and everything in between. For anyone who's found themselves questioning what lies beyond this existence, here's something to consider. There's a vastness to our universe, filled with beauty and wonder, far beyond anything our minds can conjure. At the core of it all is a love that runs deeper and more unconditional than we might ever grasp, one that can change not just our personal paths, but the way the world spins around us. Every day of my ongoing adventure is filled with chances to learn, to grow, and to love. I sometimes long for that serene place I once touched, finding solace in the belief that I'll return there one day. Meanwhile, I strive to embrace every moment, to love fiercely, and to be a source of hope and understanding in a world that craves it. I hope my journey serves as a beacon in the shadows, a reminder that life and death holds more than what our eyes can see. Regardless of how tough things might get, there's always a glimmer of hope, a well of love, and a fresh dawn just around the corner. If you found this heartfelt spiritual account uplifting, please give us a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notifications to stay updated on our latest videos. Let's keep spreading this message together. Until we meet again.